What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Brand Playbook Podcast. I got a solo episode for you guys today. And today, we're going to be talking about defining the most important things that you really need to know before creating any content or creating any brand, which is finding your ideal target avatar. Some people call it finding the ideal target audience. And the reason why this is so important is that without this, your whole basically messaging is gonna fall apart. Like you're just gonna be shooting in the dark. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what kind of content you're making, what your go-to-market strategy is going to be. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this enough. A lot of people don't really have the clarity to find their target audience. And we're gonna break down all of that today in this podcast episode. So stay tuned. We're gonna break down the exact strategies that I've used with all of our clients, from mom and pop making seven figures or less per year business to a founder of an 8 and 9 figure companies that raises millions of dollars. I think finding that target audience is the key in differentiating whether you have a successful marketing strategy or a brand strategy and not. And honestly, the first thing here is most people think their audience is that they're just 35 to 55 and they are have families and they live in Toronto. Whatever that is. Like it's so broad, right? And most people don't know who this person exactly is. And it's a problem because when you speak to as many people as possible, you're actually speaking to no one. That's like the first rule of marketing, right? Like when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And you wanted to avoid this. And one of the things that we've done, at least with our all of our clients, is ensuring that we know exactly what is to the detail, what is this avatar is, what are their activities, what are they interested in, and we have a little bit of a handy dandy framework. Us people like a little bit of a framework to make sure that we have clarity on this. So I want to go over that today, and this framework is called the ideal framework. So IDEAL framework that we take everybody through when it comes to figuring out who their target audience is. So uh, this is when you take out notes. If you want to take out notes, feel free. The first thing on the I is interests and desires. So in the interests and desires phase, you wanted to discover what is the dream state of your audience. What is the ideal scenario? What is their desire? What is their interest that they'd like to get to? Right. So that's why the I is the first thing, because when we know what their desires are, as a brand, as a business, whatever it is that you sell, info products, snacks, we can cater to that dream state of this person, right? So what does that mean? Let's break it down even deeper into more tactical stuff. So you can ask questions like, what is the ideal scenario? What is the highest form of self-expression does this audience have? Does this type of person or business or whether you're B2B, B2C want to do? Are there any common hobbies or activities that my target audience aspire to be at or aspire to do, right? What are some of their biggest maybe like things that gets them excited? What are the things that gets them motivated to do things, right? Is it their family? Is it monetary? Is it flashy Lamborghinis, right? Or is it something that is more maybe more reserved? Maybe is it more quiet luxury, more travel, freedom? What is this higher self interest and desire that your audience have? And we really want to know that because that will become the pillar of our whole content strategy, our whole branding strategy, right? Um, some of the things, even what type of events do they attend? What kind of, is your audience attend conferences? Do they attend networking events? Or maybe they attend like music festivals or they attend coffee shops on Sundays? Do they attend run clubs, right? All these desires are very important when we start writing them down and creating a character because then you'll have a better idea of how do we attach our value proposition into their ideal self-expression. So that's the first step. Write all of these down when it comes to interest and desire. Now, in the ideal framework, the first is interest and desire. The second thing is the D stands for demographics. So demographics, this is something that you're probably familiar in. If you're in marketing, you probably know this. But if you're a business owner, the demographics is basically the hardcore stats. So what I mean by that is What are the age groups, right? Is this 25 to 35, 44 to 54, 65 plus? What geographic locations do they usually reside? Some of you might have a very nationwide or even global companies that have a lot of products in all different markets across different demographics. But some of you maybe are very local to a specific market. You got to know exactly what the demographics are. Maybe what are their employment status? Are they usually C-level executives? Are they entrepreneurs? Or are they mid-level managers? Or are they usually, they're someone who have a job but also have a side hustle, right? Whatever that is, right? We got to know what their employment status is. I also like to think about what are their average income level, right? Because people at different income levels typically have different ways they like to spend money, and they cater to different levels of value thinking. So when you understand what kind of average income, again, it doesn't have to be very exact. We want to go at we want to go an average because then we can determine what things does it make the audience excited in that category. Do they have children? Do they have family? All these questions are very important in determining the demographic of our audience. Okay, so far we have interest and desire and demographics. Now, what are the next thing in the ideal framework? The E stands for essentials. So what does essential means? It means like what is important to them, what is essential to them. So you can ask some of the questions like, what are the primary problem does our target audience have? The more details it is, the better, and especially the problems that they need to be solved. Like one of those problems that they're just like, hmm, I wish I can do this better, or I wish I just can do this, right? So when you know that primary problem, it could create a really good foundation for the target audience for your brand. Next is what goals or objectives are they striving to achieve, both in their personal or even in their professional career life or in their health, depending on what you offer. Knowing this will give us an idea of what's important to them. And also, what would make their life significantly easier? I like to ask this question with any brand that we work with because I hope the solution is through our product or our service, right? So knowing this allows us to be have a better judgment in terms of what is important to each of this target audience. Okay. So once you have that, again, now you have the interests and desires, you have demographics, and you have the essentials. Now, what next? The A in the ideal framework stands for attributes. So, in the attributes, it is discovering where they hang out. So, let's say, what are kind of like lifestyle choices that they have when it comes to them? Do they go out to the lake over the weekend? Do they go out to the movies, or do they like to I don't know, go to again, big music festival, right? What are their primary values as a consumer? Knowing that will help us understand how they value products, and we can help create the messaging to be tailored into that specific value and attribute. What kind of leisure activities do they do? So this is another question you can start asking. And uh, do they play pickleball? Do they go out and roller skate by the beach? Or maybe do they go hunting? Whatever it is, right? Knowing what their attributes is very important because it'll allow us to know in what environment it's familiar to them, right? If we know that our target audience like to go hiking on the weekend and we are a wellness company, let's tie a lot of our branding, a lot of our photography, our imagery, our videography, or even our content related to hiking. That way it feels familiar to our target audience. Um, let's say that you are, for example, a SaaS company that have an email management software. And let's start thinking about who are their target audience. Maybe it is people in mid-level managers that is, probably stressed out and just want to uh, chill out over the weekend. Maybe they chill out at a bar or some sort of like a wellness activity. Now we can create content around that, imitating that similar environment so that it will feel familiar to our audience. Okay. So far we have the ideal framework, we have the interest and desire, demographics, essentials, and attributes. So what comes after attributes? The last but not least in the ideal framework is L stands for lifestyle. So this is really discovering the exact behaviors that they do. So, what kind of social activities do they enjoy? How do they make decisions about major purchases? Do they typically like to talk about it with their parents? Do they talk about it with their friends, relatives? Or do they make decisions just based on a whim, right? Let's say um, if I am a high end clothing company that wants to do drops, right? If I know that my audience really value exclusivity and they make decision based on urgency, then I would make our drops a bit more further out because as a part of that brand, we want to make sure we feel exclusive. And how does that translate to the content? Is we want going to be able to build more hype towards that drop so that people will feel more of that this rush of hype before the drop, right? So understanding their lifestyle is so important. And maybe even how involved are they in a local community or any social causes? Because when we know that, then maybe we want to do like a brand experiential campaign in collaboration with the local community, right? So what is that lifestyle choices that they do? And you'll be able to discover their behaviors that way. So, in short, that is the ideal framework: the interest and desire, demographics, essential, attributes, and also lifestyle. Now, what do you do with this information, right? Once you have all of the answers to these questions and maybe even some more, what I like to do is build personas based on these demographics. So, what are personas? Personas are basically, people call it avatars as well. um, these personas are humanizing all of these different aspects because we can't like make it very specific every single time, obviously, right? We need to find common denominators between all of these different behaviors. And when we do find that common denominator, what I like to do is I create a persona. So we call them maybe like uh, CEO Charlie, right? Or maybe like Student Sam or, Conscious Jessica, something like that, right? I like to give it a name because now we know that this person acts in this behavior. So let's say with this, CEO Charlie, here's how his interests and desires are. Here are his attributes. Here's what's essential to them. Here are his lifestyle. Here are some of his attributes. And when we have that information, now when we have any roadblocks in decision making when it comes to whether or not we should run this campaign or whether or not we should create this video, should we create these type of content campaign, should we make this event? Now the question comes straight into the persona. So will CEO Charlie find this valuable? Will CEO Charlie enjoys this? Will CEO Charlie find this XYZ, right? So when we have these target personas, and depending on your business size, you might have multiple personas, then now you'll be able to cater a lot of your messaging into this specific persona. Let's say if you have two different products with two different personas, that's fine. Even though you have one Instagram page, you'll have content on YouTube that'll go towards persona one, and you have one that goes to persona two, right? That way you'll be able to cater to both of these audiences at the same time. And let's say you as a business decided that maybe certain personas are more important. Maybe they drive more revenue, or maybe the other one have a longer lifetime value. You might want to prioritize certain messaging depending on some promotional things that you wanted to run. So, understanding your audience, understanding your personas, I think is one of the most important things you can do if you really want to grow your brand, whether it's through content, through experiential, through influencer marketing, through anything really. If you don't know who your target audience is, you're literally wasting money when it comes to doing any campaigns. Don't hire any agencies. Don't try to hire people because you don't even know who you're talking to. So, hope this helps. This is a very quick solo episode, and I'm planning to do more of this. And again, my company is Fortino Studios. You can check it out, fortinostudios.co. If you want us to help you with your brand, with your content, we're here for you. But I'm just here to give you all some value in terms of what you can implement in your marketing team today. So until then, I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Bye bye.